What if? What if everything we think we know about building peace is just wrong? We're about to look at this remarkable and honestly often overlooked story that completely flips the script on how you achieve stability. Okay, let's get right into it. The incredible story of Somaliland.
We've all seen this story play out, right? Some big international organization brokers a peace deal, billions of dollars in aid get pledged, and for a moment, there's this real sense of hope. But then, fast forward a few years, and the violence is back. It's this absolutely devastating cycle, and it really forces you to ask a tough question. Are we just getting this whole peace-building thing wrong?
Well, the answer might just be in how we're doing it. See, on one hand, you've got the usual top-down model. High-level political deals, powerful international players calling the shots. But then there's this other way, a bottom-up approach. This is something that's led by the community itself. It's rooted in their own culture, and it's owned by the people on the ground. One is basically imposed from the outside, the other grows from within. And believe me, that difference, it changes everything.
And that brings us to maybe the most powerful example of that difference in action. A place that's unrecognized by the world, but is, well, an unbelievably successful story. We're talking about Somaliland. So, picture this. It's 1991, in the Horn of Africa. Somaliland declares independence from Somalia. And while its neighbor, Somalia, tragically spirals into chaos and civil war, Somaliland, they do the impossible. They build a peaceful, democratic society right from the ashes. And here's the truly mind-blowing part. They did it almost entirely by themselves. No official international recognition, very little foreign aid. Just on their own.
So you have to be asking, how on earth did they pull this off? Well, a really pivotal moment came in 1993. They held something called a National Reconciliation Conference. But look, this was not some fancy meeting in Geneva with a bunch of foreign diplomats. No way. This was led by local clan elders. They came together to figure out their own future, blending their traditional ways of governing with modern democratic ideas. And that conference, that laid the bedrock for the stability they still enjoy today.
Okay, to really get why this worked when so many other efforts have failed, we need to unpack a really fascinating sociological concept. It's something that gets right to the heart of the matter. It's called the power of habitus.
Right, so this term habitus comes from the sociologist Pierre Bourdieu. The best way to think about it is like our social second nature. It's not a set of rules you think about. It's more like the default programming that runs in the background. It's that deeply ingrained, almost automatic way we see the world and react to it. And it's all shaped by our life experiences. Now, in a society torn apart by war, that habitus can be all about distrust and violence. So to build real, lasting peace, you can't just change the laws on paper. You have to actually transform the habitus itself.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because that transformation requires different kinds of capital. So often when the international community gets involved, they focus almost exclusively on economic capital, money. But Bourdieu pointed out there's so much more to it. You've got social capital, that's the trust, the community networks. You've got cultural capital, the shared knowledge, the skills. And this one's huge. Symbolic capital. That's the prestige, the legitimacy, the respect that leaders have. Somaliland's real genius was in understanding and leveraging all four of these.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how does it actually play out in the real world? Let's take a look at how Somaliland put all of this into practice and literally built peace from the inside out.
See, instead of trying to import some foreign system, they looked inward. They turned to the guurti, that's their council of elders, who already had massive amounts of social trust and symbolic legitimacy. People already respected them. They used their traditional customary law called zir to handle disputes and justice. By empowering the systems and the people that were already there, they built this incredible sense of collective ownership. And slowly, patiently, they managed to shift the entire society's habitus away from conflict and towards cooperation.
And the result of all that hard work? It's simple, but so profound. Peace wasn't just the job of soldiers or politicians anymore. It became the personal, daily responsibility of every single person in the community.
And this quote from a local woman, Amina, wow, it just captures it perfectly. She calls it the collective eyes and ears of people. Think about what that means. It's this idea that everyone is watching out for everyone else. If you see something that's not right, you don't just look the other way. No, you get involved. You de-escalate. You protect the peace because it's your peace too.
And get this for a stunning real-world example of that transformed habitus in action.
A businessman, Ahmad Muhammad Omar, he tells this story about kidnappers trying to grab someone. And he says, the society caught them without the support of the police and military. Just let that sink in for a second. The villagers themselves stopped the car and caught the criminals. That is what a society focused on peace actually looks like in practice.
So, what's the big takeaway from this incredible story? Well, Somaliland's journey really offers a powerful potential blueprint for other places trying to find their own path to lasting peace after a conflict.
And it really seems to boil down to 4 key steps. Step 1, prioritize local ownership. Peace has to come from the inside, it can't be forced from the outside. Step 2, leverage the traditional systems that people already know and trust. Don't reinvent the wheel. Step 3, focus like a laser on rebuilding social capital, those bonds that hold a community together. And finally, step 4, and this is the really tough part. You have to accept that this is a slow, gradual, long-term investment in changing a society's deep-seated habits.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Sustainable peace, it's not just about signing a document. It's not just a political deal or a new constitution. At its core, it's the deep, patient, and often really difficult work of reweaving a society's entire social fabric. It's about transforming it from one of division to one of shared responsibility.
And that leaves us with a pretty profound question to chew on. If true, lasting peace is really built from the ground up by the people themselves, then what is the right role for the rest of the world? Is it to lead from the front? Or is it maybe to learn, to support, and sometimes maybe the best thing to do is to just get out of the way?